It's a mere 95 out here today, and done a lot of assembly on the mast. This mast project has not turned out as well as I had hoped. My spraying of the All Grip 2000 was challenged, and I don't know if that's the result of my skill, the mix that I was working with, and I tried a couple variations, or my spray equipment. Most of the result of this finish that you're seeing here is from me spent a lot of time with a polisher on it, and I've got some really thin spots that are showing all the way down to the 545 primer, and that's just going to be the way it is. I've spent way more time on this than I had ever intended. You can see the upgraded tangs here using the 1/4 inch Monel rivets. I drilled out the mast hound to accept 1 1/4 inch rivet, and the combination of the 3/16 and that 1/4, that thing is not going anywhere. My concern all along, part of the reason for doing all this work on the mast, was that I was concerned that the galvanic corrosion that I knew had to be going on was enlarging the holes, in which case didn't make any difference how strong the rivet was. If the rivet can pull out of the hole, then you got a problem. But the holes were not enlarging. What was happening was we were getting pitting underneath all of the straps and whatnot. That's where the biggest problem was. So what I've been using is the Dulcolax lac stuff underneath all these, and these actually had a plastic a film on the inside of them, so they probably didn't need it at all. But the coating helps with the contact of the rivet to the mast and everything else. The contact of the Monel rivets to the aluminum was never an issue. That didn't cause any of the galvanic corrosion. It was always the stainless strap or piece that caused the problem. So when I get my silicone tomorrow morning, I'll finish my mast and the base and whatnot, and clean this mess up. This is the lovely hole that I showed you, and my solution is going to be going to a piece of foil tape. Really not that concerned about the hole itself. I don't want water getting in, but I do want the ability in an emergency situation to be able to punch a hole in that and be able to drain water in the case that something failed up on top and you got water in the top of this mast, and you need an easy way to get it out. So the hole will suffice, and with a piece of foil tape over it, it won't look too scary, and other than that's a hell of a big hole. One thing that cracks me up is somewhere along the line I lost the nut for this big bolt, so I'm gonna have to pick that up in the morning as well. The next thing I'm working on is taking a look at all the lines that I have and figuring out what I will need in addition to. And then also was doing some inspecting of the standing rigging and the halyards and whatnot. And while they're old, I don't see any signs of that would make me want to replace this stuff. There's no kinks, there's no frays, there's nothing like that. So I think I'm going to call that good, and until somebody tells me that I should rethink that. But for now, all that rigging looks fine, and it makes sense. I mean, fact of the matter is, for 40 years it spent 98% of that time inside, dry, in a bag. I mean, and it's not been under any load, so it's just doesn't seem like it makes sense to replace it at this point in time. But I will query everybody about their thoughts on that part of it. see if anyone has any great thoughts about that. Certainly the mast looks better than it did, but like I said, it's didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. I think it looks better than it did. The old anodizing was pretty tired, so I don't know. It is what it is. Time to shoot the engineer on this job and get on with it. Here's the main and rear beams. They're all assembled, ready to go. Got the new Harkin Traveler on there. Pretty excited about that. The idea of having a Traveler that works, what a concept. Pretty major investment. One thing that was interesting is while all the holes on the bar itself matched up with the holes on the beam, still had the drill for the end caps, and I'm not quite understanding why that was, but it had to happen, so it's been done. Pretty serious investment, changing that bar and Traveler car out, but again, the idea of having one that works is pretty exciting. I tensioned the Dolphin Striker to get a little bit more than a 1/4 inch of bend in the beam. Found an old mast ball to stick on there. I'll use that until it's gone, but I've got another one to put on when I could. It was pretty fun getting those bolts back in there, but not too difficult. Used the box end wrench with some tape over the end to get the bolts in position. And once I had them through and I could start the nut, then I had to use a socket wrench because I couldn't use the other bolts would be in the way to use the wrench. So that was kind of entertaining. Also had some fun. I've got some pictures of, took great care to keep the spacer tube in the main beam all while it was working with it. And then right at the end, I knocked it loose and got to reinstall it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. There were some pictures in my album to show how I did it. It's pretty simple. The beams have some of the same issues with paint that the mast have. A couple spots are pretty thin. It took a lot of rubbing to get all the to get that surface the way I wanted it. And again, don't know if it's my spray gun, my skill. I'm sure the paint's fine, but somewhere in there it's just highly challenged work for me to get that to come out the way I wanted to, but it certainly looks way better than it did. And I'll be the only guy around with jet gray beams. This is the Scappoose Naval Shipyard here with a lot of gray hulls, waiting for probably early next week because this is ready to start painting, but it's just too hot to be doing that kind of work. Not because it's going to kill the painter, but you don't want that finish drying too fast when you're putting it on. You need a little bit of wet time, so don't need to aggravate that problem. But it's pretty much ready to go. We got a little light sanding to go, but everything's ready. And as I've mentioned, probably the smooth decks. I'm already liking that.